You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma podcast. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today. But before we do, I've got to thank our sponsors. First of all, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. They've been a huge part of this podcast for the last few years. So the Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to oklahomahof on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is the Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma. And it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. So a huge shout out to Governor Anatoby for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. Our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. This episode is presented by the Choctaw Nation. The Choctaw people have a rich history and a bright future. At the Choctaw Cultural Center, you can take part in a story 14,000 years in the making. Stroll through our immersive exhibits portraying Choctaw life from the moment our ancestors emerged from the Nani Weha in Mississippian homelands to the Trail of Tears, where we lost so many loved ones, and finally to the modern-day tribe making a positive impact on local communities throughout southeastern Oklahoma. Try your hand at our social dancing and stickball and learn more about our vibrant culture through demonstrations, workshops, and classes. The kids will have a blast in our Luxie Activity Center. The Choctaw Cultural Center is more than a museum. It's a living, breathing experience. Visit choctawculturalcenter.com to plan your visit. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode down in Bethany, Oklahoma today with Hudson and Tim Haws. Gentlemen, thanks for your time. I'm really excited to dive into the story. Not growing up, but being part of the Bethany world for the last 10 years. Obviously, you guys everyone knows your story, and it's an honor to share the story on the podcast. Sadly, Jeremy can't join us today. Maybe he'll swing by later, who knows. But I think before we dive into everything and just kind of what you're doing down here at the 34 Project, let's talk a little bit about you guys. I guess Tim, being the oldest, we'll start with you. All right. How did you come to Bethany? What's kind of your Bethany and Oklahoma story?
I actually was raised in Edmond, and after I got married and my wife and I graduated from college, we're just looking for where we were going to settle down, and buy a house, and it ended up we had lots of connections through church and friends in the Bethany area, and so that's how we ended up in Bethany.
Yeah. So you have obviously 3 or 4 sons. Three. Mm-hmm. So me being we 3 of us went to SNU, so we know a lot of the family, and I went to BFC for a while, and we've just been chatting. We know a lot of mutual friends, as most people in the Bethany will do. Yep. But I think, and I do remember when it is that there was football, right? Yeah. When you had your football accident, I think I was in school at that time, and I remember the whole community, and I remember the signs out, and it's something that it's tragic, right? It rocks everybody's world, not just the family, but everyone around it, because they know you. But things happen for a reason, and you wouldn't be doing the great stuff you do now, right? Yeah. If that, and there's a lot of ways to look at things, right? And I just love the fact that, you guys have, you haven't seen it as my life is over, which a lot of people could do. And then there's people like that all over the world that have had, bad accidents playing sports, and they've gone to depression and all that stuff. But I want to kind of talk about just kind of like, if you don't mind talking about it, that time, what happens, how it all goes through everything, and then how you go through, meeting Jeremy, and then this is, and how we get here today. Like, we got plenty of time to tell the whole story, so don't hold back on details, and don't feel like you're talking too much, because it's your job to talk, and we're here to listen to your stories and not mine. So, I guess, when did the the accident happen?
Yeah, so it was October 23rd, 2015. Bethany, we drove down to Blanchard, and we're playing Blanchard in football. Pretty high stakes game, and we're playing. It might have been like second quarter. It was pretty early in the game. Might have been first. I'm not really sure. And we're playing, and I played linebacker, so defensive player. Love to hit people. Love to hit them hard. That was the only thing I was seemingly good at in football. Didn't have the hand-eye coordination to make some spectacular catches or anything, but I could hit people. And so we're playing, and they do a outside like little bubble screen thing, and I come in, and the guy's going down, but he's kind of stumbling, so I was just gonna go give him a hit to make sure he went down to the ground. And it wasn't even I wish I could say it was like I was full speed, just broke some ribs on the guy or something. But it wasn't anything hard or anything like that, and it was kind of just a perfect storm of, I guess, events inside my body involving muscles and stuff. So I hit the guy, and then I have 2 vertebrae in my neck that came loose and bruised my spinal cord, and that resulted in me on the field. I was actually I couldn't really. Whenever I tried to get up off the ground, my left arm kind of twitched, and that was it. And so I was like, oh crap, probably not good. And then my buddy Rob comes over and tells me to get up, and I told him to shut up. And, and so then they checked me out on the field. They're obviously like, this is serious, stabilize. I go to an ambulance, and I'm sitting in the ambulance for a bit. I end up getting meta-flighted to OU Children's that night. And, they put me in the helicopter, and the first thing, like, okay, do not fall asleep in the helicopter. And as soon as they finished that sentence, I fell asleep in the helicopter.
Passed out.
Yeah. I woke up when we landed, and then got scanned, everything, went back for surgery, woke up, I don't know how many hours later it was after, but they had me, was it intubated? Is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. Where it's breathing for you or whatever. So I woke up, asked if we won the game, did not win the game. Pretty ashamed of my buddies for not pulling that one out. It's pretty embarrassing. But what can you do when your best player goes down? I don't know. But so then I spend 2 weeks. How long? 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks in ICU at OU Children's. I was supposed to only spend a week, and then we were looking for places that I could go for my inpatient therapy, and this place called Craig popped up, and Craig Hospital's in Denver, and it's a world-renowned spinal cord and traumatic brain injury hospital, but they didn't have any beds available. And so we're like, well, crap. So then we were looking around for other places, and then all of a sudden this Craig representative was like, hey, we just had a bed available, and we can get you there hopefully in a day. Well, then I get x-rayed that night, and I have pneumonia. My lungs are kind of filling up with stuff, so they're like, we can't transport you like this. So they keep me an extra week. Somehow, blessing, the bed stayed open. I was able to take care of the pneumonia stuff, get meta-flighted to Denver, and I get admitted into Craig Hospital, and I spend roughly 3 months doing inpatient therapy there. And that's like, you wake up in the morning and it's 8 hours of PT, OT, any kind of, everything pretty much. Just every hour you're doing something. You get a little break for lunch, and then just keep going. And then it's kind of relearning how to use everything that you can, and be effective with it, and also to build strength and stuff, and really kind of see how much you can progress in certain things. And that was, that's pretty much my time there. I had great friends that would make the drive up there from Bethany to Denver. Got caught in some snowstorms every now and then. But they would make the drive up, and it was pretty much my my dad and mom were able to come up there and live there with me, and then my brothers came up every now and then and they would stay for a week or however long at a time, and so that was good. Met some friends there that were my age or around my age that had either taken a dive into an ocean and hit something underwater, or car crash, or getting bucked off a horse, or surfing in Hawaii. Just there was how many? There's like 32 beds, 40 beds. So, and all these people are pretty much in the same boat as you. We had right when I got there, he has a documentary out on HBO now. I think it won a couple awards. It's Paul Bast is his name. He was a former world champion mountain biker, and he crashed, and he was there right when I got there. I didn't know who he was until I saw his documentary, and I was like, that's Craig Hospital. And then I was like, wait a second. I literally saw him like doing therapy in a hallway. Yeah. I remember it clearly, and I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of just crazy stories that are there while you're going through all this stuff, and that hospital was great. Great people there, super smart. Really, really no complaints about that place at all. And we left there in late January of 2016, right? And then I get back here, brief time off, and then go back to high school, which Bethany was amazing about it. I think I had 2 classes that I needed to finish out to actually graduate. So they were just like, yeah, just show up for those 2 classes and then you're good to go. So that's what I would do. And so that was fantastic. Finished that out. And then whenever I came back, I need to do outpatient therapy. And so I went to Jim Thorpe outpatient rehabilitation here in Oklahoma, over on South, where's that? 44th, and went there, and great people there. Awesome people. Actually saw them at the Oklahoma Spinal Cord Conference here a couple weeks ago. It was good to see them. I spent a lot of time there. I would started out, I think 2 to 3 sessions a week. I would go down there, but as time goes on, a lot of this therapy that you undertake is insurance sponsored. And so insurance companies like to see progress. And if they don't see progress, they do not fund your therapy sessions that a lot of people desperately need to continue to get better and to improve their quality of life. So with that being said, when they want to see progress, you see the therapists, they know how to kind of game the system a little bit to where it's like, okay, here's where we want to get, we want to get to this lofty goal, but we're not going to try for it immediately. What we're going to do is take this smallest little step so I can write down, we just made progress, continue to sponsor these therapy sessions. And which is fine, and that's great for some things, but other things that it's clear that somebody would benefit from, either being able to get up in a gait training system to be able to practice on walking, or at least get load bearing and blood circulation through legs, or being able to do electric stimulation stuff. That a lot of that stuff, it gets barred from people, from the insurance companies, and which is very frustrating. And I saw it at Craig too. I mean, there's one time I saw some guy in this wild machine at Craig, and I believe my dad asked me, he's like, when are we getting that thing? And they're like, you won't probably be able to. Like, I don't think we'll be able to get insurance to do that. You have to jump through so many hurdles and hoops and everything. So after, I don't know, probably about a year of doing outpatient therapy at Jim Thorpe, insurance is no longer doing it, so I kind of stopped doing it, and so I stopped working out and all this stuff, and really getting a lot of physical activity in. Besides, at this point, I'm also going to Southern Nazarene University here in Bethany, getting a degree in history, and a lot of my buddies are going there, and they, all my friends really pushed me through school. Literally, they would push me across campus sometimes. Nearly threw me out of my chair a few times too. But they would come, they'd pick me up. I specifically remember one time, it was super cold outside. My battery died in my car. It was finals. And I live, I don't know, probably 4 blocks away. It's bitter cold. North wind is howling. And my buddy shows up. My car's not turning on. And we're like, we have to go. And so he just pushed behind me through the streets of Bethany so we could get up to class. And it wasn't great, but we did good on our finals that day. So that was good. But I had a lot of friends. The faculty and staff there was really accommodating too. It was probably, I mean, I couldn't really have asked for more of a better experience for being in the situation that I was in, and really helped me, go through that 4 years. And during that 4 years, I would work out occasionally. Sometimes I would go to certain events and stuff. There was briefly there was a CrossFit gym. The CrossFit gym's still there, but every Sunday they would host like paraplegic, quadriplegic CrossFit workout stuff, which was pretty cool. But besides that, like the gyms that my friends would all go to, they don't really have adaptive equipment there at all. I could bring some stuff with me, but also a lot of times, if I'm working out with my buddies, they're spending half their workout time helping set me up on something, and then also spotting me, and then so all that stuff. So really wasn't getting any kind of therapy or doing any kind of exercise, wellness, any of that. And I think I did. I mean, I progressed some in terms of quality of life things, got a little stronger, figured out how to do different things that I previously couldn't do and stuff like that. But for all intents and purposes, I was kind of stagnant. And I mean, I was just kind of getting my degree and writing a bunch of papers. And then I am graduating in 2020. And I think I had already graduated the first time we went to Dallas, correct? Because I think it was...
yeah.
I think it was quarantine.
We were supposed to go earlier, but then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And we were like, we ain't going right now.
Yeah, so there's a place in Dallas that is what gave us the inspiration here. It's a NeuroReact in Dallas. They are a adaptive... they're an adaptive gym that they pretty much do just spinal cord injuries. I think they do other injuries too and things like that. But their owner, she's a spinal cord injury, and she got injured a long time ago. And she went and did this thing called Project Walk out in San Francisco.
I think so.
And it's pretty much get you out of your chair and just, push you as hard as we can. And she was like, she felt that she got a lot out of it, and she said, I want to start one of these down in Texas. And so they have a place down in Dallas, and so we heard about it, and we end up going there after COVID hit, and we drive down there and do a workout. And I mean, it was the best workout I'd had in a long time. That's probably since my days at Craig, whenever I was going 8 hours a day. And so I was like, well, that was great. And they got me out of my chair. They got me standing up at a squat rack for the first time since my injury. And I was like, and the main thing about this is it was private pay. Mm-hmm. There's no insurance companies telling you what you can and can't do. They had a ton of equipment that they were just like, yeah, we're going to throw you on this and see what happens, and kind of thing. And that's what we really liked about it. And while we were there, my dad had the thought that we should have one of these in Oklahoma, because he didn't like, and I didn't like driving the the 3.5 hours and back to Dallas whenever we would go down there. And sure, we could stay in a hotel, but that's also more cost and all that. So we did that, and we kept going down. We went down, I don't know, probably a total of 8 or 10 times.
Probably at least 8 or 10 times.
And while we're doing it, you know, my dad is thinking about how we can make this happen up here in Oklahoma and serve our population. And because there was we knew a few other people that were making the drive down there. We're like, well, we should just have one of these up here. So my dad, well, you might want to take over this part of the story about getting in contact with how we met Jeremy and stuff.
Yeah. So my background is education. So I was a public school teacher and administrator for over 30 years. And so through that process, you meet a lot of people. And so coming back from Dallas and thinking about wanting a facility here in Oklahoma, I reached out to Dr. Stephanie Schellenberger at Southern Nazarene University. She's, 40 plus years of knowledge and expertise in strength and conditioning and kinesiology and all those kind of things. And I asked her, would she be willing to come on board as a advisor? And her immediate response was, let me pray about that. Mm-hmm. And so 3 or 4 days later, she calls me and says, no, I'm not going to come on board because I've got somebody better than me. And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know how that could possibly be. But she sends me the contact information for Jeremy Johnson. And I'd never met Jeremy. So I texted him, introduced myself, and just it's so interesting as you have conversations later. Jeremy recently told me he thought I was actually just trying to get money out of him as an investor, and I needed something from him, but it was a lot more money. And anyway, so he didn't respond for several of my texts. He just ghosted me. And but I kept after him, and he said, all right, why don't you bring Hudson to my house? He has a home gym, and he said, let me just meet you guys and work Hudson out a little bit and see what happens. And so we show up, and what I think Jeremy later tells me, Hudson is the kind of man that, you tell him, all right, we're going to do 20. He's, 25 and going. Mm-hmm. It's just whatever. I like that same mindset. I like it when somebody tells me, okay, this is what I want you to do. So I'm just following directions. Just tell me what to do. And Hudson really worked hard, and I think surprised Jeremy at one is willpower and just perseverance. And so we have that workout. Jeremy goes to his commercial gym to work out, and he said, I went into said I'm just sitting there kind of overwhelmed by all what happened with that workout with Hudson, and he had gone to the locker room to change clothes at his other facility, and he said normally it's just packed with people, but that day it was empty. And so he said, I'm sitting there getting cleaned up, and this guy walks in, and we start talking, and he asked Jeremy how his day went, and he said, wow, I had this workout with this kid, and kind of told him what happened with Hudson and what we were asking him to do, what we were thinking about. And that guy said, well, what you don't know is I'm a neurosurgeon here in Oklahoma City. And all I got to tell you is we have to have a place like that in Oklahoma City. We're having to send people out of state. Mm-hmm. And so that was a lot of validation to Jeremy. And so we started the process of Hudson working out at Jeremy's house. And in the meantime, I had one of my jobs before I retired from education was I ran special services for Bethany Public Schools, and we had been looking at some different facilities for some different school programs, and I had remembered one particular facility in Bethany that came to mind, I believe, divinely. And so long story short, I inquired about that, and it just so happened that it was available. And so that opened the door for a facility, and had to do several modifications to make it adaptive and accessible, and right in the middle of COVID, which, to tell you the truth, was a blessing too, because we really needed that time to, and it got us through that, and we were able to operate out of Jeremy's personal gym. So that's kind of how we got here. So we came up with the 34 Project as the name for our adaptive strength and fitness facility, and 34 being Hudson's football number. And we've been going gangbusters ever since.
Yeah, we had we had me working out here whenever we started, and we had, I think, 2 other people, and then we had a client come in, and when he showed up, he came to just look at the place, and he was like, I thought I was going to roll in here and it was going to be dirt on the floor, like just like a backwoods shed. But he's like, this is actually pretty nice. And we're like, yeah, we got a good facility going here. And from generous donations of both time and money from people throughout this community, and I mean, not even just in Bethany, far and wide, we've been able to build this facility here and acquire a bunch of specialized equipment, acquire resources for people, for our clients to be able to gain more independence, gain more quality of life, from either fixing up somebody's chair to getting them hand controls so they can drive themselves around. It's just kind of been it feels like a snowball, just kind of keeps rolling down the hill. And we keep getting more people coming in. One thing about this facility, as I mentioned before, that place in Dallas is private pay. This facility is private pay. We don't take insurance. We don't want people telling us what we can do with our clients. Yeah. And so with that, we have our trainers, and so our trainers need to make money. And so the trainers have, like anybody would with a personal trainer, they have their fee. What we can do with that is we undercut, I think there's probably, 5 centers similar to us in the country.
Yeah, I would say probably 5 to 10 in the country. We undercut them by 60%, I believe, because nobody here takes a salary. So there's only cost we got is keep the lights on. And then we have now developed the Bill Fullerton Memorial Scholarship Fund, who was a client of ours that passed away recently. And we have a big scholarship fund in his name that goes to people that maybe need financial help with the cost of being able to utilize this place. And so, that's one of our main things that we had said from the beginning too, is we don't want this to be a financial barrier for somebody to be able to utilize this place. And so far, I think we've been able to remove that barrier for a lot of people, and continuing to do so with just generous people that come through here. And
it's mega expensive, right? Anything in the medical field without insurance is mega expensive. Yeah, right? And it's and then when, like I said, when you meet people who are obviously going through the similar things as you, but it's not just you; it's the family too, right? Like absolutely, it's everyone thinks. everyone probably thinks and talks to you about, the struggles and everything you've been through, but they probably don't talk to Dad about all the family struggles as well, right? And all the financial and all the other stuff that goes on around it. And it's a team thing, right? You've got to be in it together, because it's huge what you guys are doing. And then going to Dallas, seeing the opportunity, and like, how can we have one in Oklahoma to save us driving? But then the greater need as well. Like, there's a business there that can sustain itself. Right. And so
it's been it's been really, the word that always comes to mind is just humbling. While there's a lot of things going on in the world that are concerning and should be concerning, over the last couple of years, what's been great about the 34 Project for me personally is understanding that there are still so many good and generous people, and that care about other people, care about total strangers that they've never met. And there's a verse in the Bible that I always remember that says, where sin aboundeth, grace aboundeth even more. And it just is always a reminder to me that when things can be bad, still the good is winning out. We just might not see it in a season or in a moment of life, but the last couple of years has just been really amazing. Just the people that I believe God has sent in our path and partnered with us. It's been a huge blessing.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about kind of then, the importance with, obviously, you've got to do your therapy, right? Like, that's kind of a key thing to after, the events happen to you and to similar people in your situation. Most people go through therapy, right? But how important is it to sustain that and have a quote workout facility going forward, right? Because a lot of people just talk about, hey, I'm going through outpatient therapy at 6 weeks or whatever it is, right. But a lot of people don't probably know how important it is to have a facility like this to continue that strength workout stuff going forward.
Yeah, so I think speaking for Jeremy, since he's not here, I believe he would ask you, how important is it for people to continue their own physical health, able-bodied people, going to the gym, going for runs, just kind of taking care of yourself. That's how it is, and probably even more so for people that have spinal cord injuries or neurological issues that prevent them from using portions of their body. Most of the time it's going to be, people prevented from being able to stand up and run and go around and do a lot of activity that they wouldn't normally do. So for one, it's just the health needs that you imagine that everybody can benefit. And that's important up here because we can provide a place where if I were to go to a regular gym, I would find a lot of difficulty being able to do even a quarter of the stuff that we can do up here. And so, up here, we provide a place where we can get people out of their chairs. We can get them on mats and have them fully stretched out. We have specialized equipment. We can activate muscles and work muscles out that you don't have access to, or maybe you have limited access to, and we can increase that connection with electrical stimulation. So just having this place and being able to use this place to get just some, just kind of the basics of, health and wellness going for people up here is great. And then in terms of, besides the health benefits, you start with that as like the basis. Mm-hmm. And then that translates to everything else in your life, whether it be quality of life stuff. For instance, after I was working out with Jeremy and I was able to get stronger with my triceps and some of my grip, I can pour water by myself now, which seems like a minuscule thing, but it can be frustrating if you are sitting there looking at a jug of water and you're like, I really need to get that in a cup, but it's not going to happen right now. But, just like being able to do that, small little things that a lot of people can take for granted. We have a young kid up here who is starting to be able to be able to straighten his arm out and use his tricep to do that, which again is something very small that a lot of people do hundreds of times a day. I used to not be able to raise my arm up above my head. My tricep would fail and I'd hit myself in the head all the time.
Wow.
Just little things like that translate to a lot of instances in your day-to-day life that just make it that much easier, and a little bit easier for somebody in these types of situations is a big step. Now, besides the quality of life stuff, Jeremy also loves to talk about the translation to other parts of your life, and being gaining confidence, realizing, hey, I can do stuff, meeting other people up here in the community that have gone on and done fantastic things, had successful lifelong careers, have built businesses, have gone to Wyoming and killed an elk. If you want to hear that story, but just meeting people that have done things that maybe you didn't think that you would be able to do, it translates into confidence and being able to try different things and being able to get out there and maybe going and being able to drive again, being able to think, oh, I can actually make a well-established, rewarding career from the skills I have. I just need to go out there and get my name out there and actually go for it. That's a huge thing too. And along with that community thing, which my dad can talk about the caregiver aspect and providing a place for caregivers that, along with the people that are experiencing these injuries, they go through them with them as well. And so, that's kind of been a focus.
Yeah, was when you asked that question, about why the 34 project?
Sure, yeah.
What's the
other than a selfish reason why?
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And I think that what people don't know, and I didn't know this, and I actually worked with a lot of kids. Bethany, Oklahoma is home to a world-class rehabilitation facility called the Bethany Children's Health Center, I have been in that facility countless times around kids that were injured. In fact, just recently saw a kid I had met right after he was injured with a high spinal cord injury back 5 years ago. And it's one of those deals where people just don't know. So you say, oh, they had a spinal cord injury. And you look and you see them in a wheelchair and you think, okay, well, they're good now. What you don't know is all of the things that go with that. Right. It's, the people don't realize that one of the great concerns is that you have to face is infection. So you can get infection a number of different ways, and that's usually the demise of people that have suffered neurological injury. Because they can't feel that there's an issue. Your body does have a secondary response system called autonomic dysreflexia. So that what that does is if something's going wrong, blood pressure will shoot up. He'll break out in a sweat, and so then you're like, okay, but then again you're like, okay,
you're searching.
Yeah, what's causing this? And it can be anything from urological or intestinal, or skin is a big deal. You have to really watch all those things. And when we went to Craig Hospital, one of the things that became very apparent to us is that these people know what they're doing. They know how to handle this. And it's like this big relief, and this weight comes off of you because you're surrounded by experts and so you're like, okay, I can let them.
Yeah.
I don't have to watch like a hawk, have what you're doing with my loved one. And I think that's what we have here is when people come in, I think first they're a little apprehensive because, one, you get gun shy of how much is this going to cost me? Because unlike, let's say, a knee replacement, So you go in, you get your knee replaced, but after a certain amount of time, they're going to say, you're good to go. We're enjoy your new knee. Whereas this is ongoing. And so it's expensive. Every month's expensive for people. And so when they come in, one, they're a little gun shy about what's this going to cost me. And then the other thing is, do you know how to handle folks like us? Do you understand the different issues? And you can just see the relief as you're talking with them that they're like, oh, okay, they know what they're doing. And we've just been blessed. We have great trainers. They're just super good at what they do and very knowledgeable. And the other thing that you learn very early in the neurological world is the doctors come out and they're a lot of times what they tell you is all based on statistics. It's just what you're going to get back, you're going to get back in the first year or whatever. And we defied all of that stuff every single week up here. We have people that, like Hudson alluded to earlier, we use a lot of electrical stimulation to assist. So what that does is, let's say you've got this amount of fire in your triceps, for instance. The higher the injury on the spinal cord, the less muscles use you have in your arms and your hands. So we all recognize that with legs. That's the first thing people notice, but it's really that lack of dexterity in the hands that makes things super challenging for folks. And so we'll put electrical stimulation, what I call pour the lightning to you. And so this computer controlled program will fire those muscles in sequence, how they need to, for you to reach out and grab a glass and squeeze it and pick it up. We can do that to you whether you have ever been able to control that or not. But over time, what happens is we've discovered that we don't have to pour as much juice to you. And these neural pathways start to develop. And we have people doing things that they'll look at us and say, doctor said I'd never do that. Yeah. And so when they do accomplish those things, all of a sudden, it's like Hudson said earlier, it's like, okay, what else can I do? I never thought I could drive, but maybe I can drive now with hand controls. Or what I love is when we get kids, and a lot of injuries happen to young adults because young adults tend to be a little bit more doing crazier things. Sure, yeah. And what I love is when we rescue people, when I ask them, what have you been doing? I've just been sitting in my room at home, and I love to be able to tell them, well, that's over now, because by the time we get done with you, you're only going to be spending about 8 hours sleeping in there. The rest of the time, we're going to go live life.
Yeah, you'll be killing an elk in Wyoming.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So we're just over a year in, right?
Yeah, just over a year in. What's our rough number at right now?
We usually have about 20 sessions a week. Okay. We're averaging about 20 sessions a week, which is, we have room for more people for sure. But at the same time, we've decided that whoever rolls through the door, whether it's 5 or 500, we want it to be an awesome experience. We want to really pour ourselves into these folks. And we're trying not to get really hung up on numbers. Again, the numbers don't really push the budget of this place because, again, we're trying to make it as cheap as possible. This place exists because of the generosity of other Oklahomans.
Yeah. So with that in mind then, going forward, is it, naturally, I think, a bigger warehouse, more facilities, helping more people, obviously that takes more dollars. But what is, I hate the 5-year, 10-year plan stuff, but just as you sit here today, if you could wave a magic wand and say, if we can get to this, this will be that is my purpose.
So I think how we've ran this place so far is we kind of just sit and wait, and then a door will open, and then we just walk through it. And that's kind of, I think, our plan going forward a little bit is we outgrow this place, we will get a larger facility. Maybe we'll build one or what, but all our future plans is to be big enough to accommodate the people that come through our doors. And we will expand with that, with whatever we're able to do. Like you said, it will cost more money if you expand. So, I mean, as either money or people come in, we will accommodate that. I don't know. I mean, we have some other plans of like the apartments across the street.
Yeah. So we have one couple of different areas that are on, what's is right now within that 5-year plan, so to speak, is when you start bringing people in and we start working people out, of course you get to know each other, and then all of a sudden you discover these other needs. And so we're not only just a fitness and strength facility, but we're just a wellness facility. We and our one of our chief goals is just to be an encourager and cheerleader. You can do this, and so a huge need in the accessibility world in Oklahoma is housing. Until you're in a wheelchair, you don't really recognize how bad that sidewalk is that you're about to go down, or can I get into that restaurant, or are they all bar tables, or are they where I can get, all of those things, you become hyper alert. Well, we don't have a lot of accessible housing in Oklahoma, and again, like Hudson said, we're faced with that like probably every other state, and yet here's a door that opened up. This apartment complex across the street from our facility is super interested in creating accessible housing, and both short and long term. And so exactly, just we're walking through that door, and we're trying to get the powers that be to come alongside of us with short little things like expanding some bus routes to make it to where people can get to this area, all of those quality of life things. So those are our short term. And my passion is getting people outdoors, getting fishing. We have a great maps trail system in Oklahoma. Yeah, well, we need some people with accessible vehicles on that more, and taking advantage and let the wind blow in their face and enjoy that. And so we're working to expand those opportunities. And we think that it's super therapeutic for people to be able to go and do as close as possible some of the things that they enjoyed before they got hurt or they got sick. And so those are our short-term goals. Our long-term goal is actually, to tell you the truth, is to be faithful. Our financial plan doesn't make sense. Any person that builds businesses would say, well, that's not sustainable. But our financial plan is modeled after a gentleman named George Mueller, who was a missionary and preacher in England. And George Mueller was walking down the street one day and felt God told him to look around, and he began to notice all of the tons of orphan kids just living on the street. And long story short, he built, I believe, 14 different orphanages and schools, helping tens of thousands of kids, and he never asked for $1. It was all on donations and prayer, and believing that God would tap people on the shoulder and say, hey, you want to help be a blessing on this deal? And they responded. Now, it wasn't always easy. I've read accounts where he said, I had all the kids at the dinner table and we didn't have one thing to feed them. And I'm sitting, and all of a sudden there'd be a knock at the door, and some guy with a load of food would say, hey, I was taking this, but God told me you guys to stop here and give it to you guys. And I can testify wholeheartedly that is exactly what has happened here. It is amazing as me and the trainers will be talking about a need, and what is shocking is how swiftly it's been met. And the reason why I believe that is because throughout the Bible you can read how God is so concerned about what he refers to many times as the least of these, people that society is going too fast to really pay a ton of attention to, but they don't escape God's eyes. And that has been what has blessed us, is we've just tried to be conduits and let resources flow through us. I have finished my career. I'm not looking for another retirement income. We're just here to help.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier, people just having breakthroughs every day. You're seeing, breaking down those barriers and those statistics. You guys are, just constantly, just defying them. You share any personal stories of that, like when you meet with Jeremy and you're, and what your dad said. Obviously, I'm kind of like you as well, right? Like I tell me what I need to do and I'll do it.
Yeah.
Whereas Hudson, you're cut from a different cloth. So.
Yeah, I would say I think this is one that Jeremy likes to talk about, and I think it's one that kind of got him a little hooked a little bit. So that first time I worked out with him, I was doing he wanted to have me do some overhead press, and so we tried. He didn't really have a bunch of bars with that weren't very heavy, so he had like a little PVC pipe kind of thing, and he put we tried to put a 5-pound on there and really wasn't happening. So then he put a 2.5-pound plate in the middle of it, and I pressed it above my head, and we did a few sets of that. And then from there, I just kept increasing weight. I think I was pressing 35 pounds over my head 6 months later. A couple weeks ago, my most ever I finally got a hold of the 45-pound standard bar, and I pressed that over my head twice. And so we've gone from, I don't know what the percentage increase from that is.
Pretty big percentage.
It's 2.5 to 45-pound overhead press, which, like I said, I've talked about earlier, I couldn't raise my hands above my head. My triceps would fail, which that is translated into me being able to grab stuff above my head off of counters, a lot of stuff is above my head sitting at a 3 foot tall or whatever I am. But
yeah, definitely.
So personally, I would say that's one of my big things. Also, we've worked on my grip a lot using functional electrical stimulation, and that is translated, like I said, into me being able to pour water and being able to hold on to things that are a little heavy or something that previously I wouldn't have trusted myself to do. Yeah. And some of my friends still don't trust me. I'll grab something off the counter, they're like, and then I get it, and they're like, oh, okay. I'll just grab something, I'll turn around, they're all just kind of staring, waiting for me to drop it. But for me, those have been kind of two of my big things. And like I said, there's a bunch of little things all mixed in there. And I think probably everybody here has some kind of story of, gaining something or accomplishing something, and it's amazing.
Yeah. You said you graduated from SNU doing history.
Yes.
Is that do you still have a love for history? Is that kind of this is obviously your baby, and the project, but do you want to follow Dad's footsteps, be a history teacher? Does that come back around at some point?
Yeah. Well, we're hoping. So I love history. I read history books all the time. I love reading and writing, and I think one of the big things that I got out of it was the writing aspect. Wrote a lot. I still write every day. I write stories and books and stuff. And so that's one dream of mine, is to eventually become an author and have that kind of be my full-time thing. And then I can do that, and then I can just come up here and advise and yell at Jeremy a little bit, and then so that's where I'm hoping the history little degree comes into, and then got a minor in business, so that's helped just a little bit. But hopefully that's how I can use my history degree. If that doesn't happen, I think I'm going to have to be forced to at least get a master's in history so I can teach, so I get a little bit of ROI on that history degree. So far not so good. I currently do contract IT work for SNU and small businesses and stuff right now, kind of just to have my own little income. Emphasis on little, but
hey, there's got to, but also like you've got to, it's nice to have that separation with this place too, right? And it still be a place where you come as a patient, or you come as someone who gets service out of it, and not coming to a place where you get service but you also are making decisions. And, it's like it gets very crowded quick when you're like, I see everything going on here, but I actually need to go work out and get myself in. Right. So
exactly.
You mentioned the Oklahoma Spinal Convention was recently. What's like that community like, and is it growing? And obviously, I'm sure it's been extremely well received with this facility as well.
Well, that was the first one ever, right?
Yeah, Integris put that on.
Oh wow!
So that and it was a good event. We're going to another expo next week at the Santa Fe Fitness facility, and their emphasis there is on some adaptive sports opportunities, and so we'll be at that event as well. But that's with both my background and Jeremy's background in education. That's dear to our heart as well, and we have some plans here in the next 5 years in regards to really, just things that will help folks. For instance, we like to do luncheon kind of things where you can bring a group in and then talk about durable power of attorney or medical power of attorney, where you can and let people leave with a document that could benefit them if something were to go wrong. And because a lot of times we don't think about those things until they're right before us, and so those are the kind of events we like to do. But it's what we hope is that we just expand more and more in regards to just helping people become more independent. That is really our goal. Just instill hope and encouragement, and let people get out there and go take care of business. Our mantra here is, you got one May 6, 2023. What are you going to do with it? And we all have that choice, and we're just going to try to help knock down some barriers to make it easier for folks.
The conference did go really well. We met a lot of people that were there that are injured, and there's a lot of vendors there, talking about new things. And so we got to meet these new people. They were interested. We got to do a little presentation over kind of what we do up here. Good. And it was really cool. And I think, honestly, there was more people there than I thought would be there for the first one. There's more. And I saw people that I hadn't seen in a while. And, I saw a guy who was there who, he got injured before I did, but he actually came up and saw me in the ICU when back in 2015. I haven't seen him since, and he was like, I was like, I think I know that guy, and he came up, talked to me for a little bit, and we're hoping to get him up there and up here, and he's a big power lifter guy, so Jeremy's dream is to have a 34 project powerlifting team to send out to competitions.
Someone's going to make the Olympics at some point. Right? We're going to have a gold medal or a medal from somewhere.
That's right.
To that point, you guys have an open house coming up. Let's finish with that. Tell people when it is, and people can come kind of get educated and just kind of see what you do here. And also, even if they're looking, if someone's listening that just feels, that
they've been called or they have a need to fill, and they have something that they want to give back and get involved with. Like you mentioned, this place runs heavily on just people like that as well. So that'd be a great opportunity to get people in town.
Yeah, so we're having an open house up here. Going to be May 27th. We're saying 10 to 2, 11 to 2.
10 to 2.
We're saying 10 to 2. You can check out our website or socials for more information. We'll have a flyer out and stuff, but it's just kind of come up here. We'll maybe have a food truck or two if you want to like snack lunch while you're here. Check out the facility, see what's going on, meet some of the people that work here. Usually a lot of our clients will come up to hang out whenever we do kind of something like this, so you can meet some people that benefit from this place. Yeah, I mean, just kind of come and go thing. We'll also have little treats, and I think we got our beautiful executive party planner Doris Hernandez making some goodie bags for people. So that's kind of it. Like I said, there will be more information on our socials and website here soon. And so if you think and you're like, I forgot when that was, you can check that out.
And that's just at 34project.com?
Yeah. The 34project.org is our website, and then the 34 Project on Instagram and Facebook.
Right. For people listening, I'll put that down in a link in the description down below, so you can go check that out and follow everything the guys are doing here. And come out, come support, and we'll catch you next episode. Thank you, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state, and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. This episode is presented by the Choctaw Nation. The Choctaw people have a rich history and a bright future. At the Choctaw Cultural Center, you can take part in a story 14,000 years in the making. Stroll through our immersive exhibits portraying Choctaw life from the moment our ancestors emerged from the Nani Weha in Mississippian homelands to the Trail of Tears, where we lost so many loved ones, and finally to the modern-day tribe making a positive impact on local communities throughout southeastern Oklahoma. Try your hand at our social dancing and stickball and learn more about our vibrant culture through demonstrations, workshops, and classes. The kids will have a blast in our Luxie Activity Center. The Choctaw Cultural Center is more than a museum. It's a living, breathing experience. Visit choctawculturalcenter.com to plan your visit.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.